Welcome to Bucket List Careers. I'm Krista Laurie. Thanks so much for joining me. Today, I want to welcome in studio Angelique Morelli. She's a recently published author who did not start out in that professional space, and we're going to dig into it today. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me, Krista.
I know. I'm excited that we finally got to sit down and talk about your book, but also talk about your journey to becoming an author, because you say it's always been inside of you. You've always been a storyteller, but as I said, that's not where you began your professional track. So let's talk about that. You were in the nonprofit space for more than 15 years. So walk us through it a little bit.
So it's funny, when I was in college, I wanted to be a news anchor. That was my dream.
Sounds familiar.
Yes. You know a little bit about that.
But who did you want to be? I mean, obviously you're emulating sometimes one particular anchor. I loved Diane Sawyer, just FYI. But
well, Diane Sawyer
that's an oldie but goodie.
Yes. I was a big Ashley Banfield fan. Still am. I always really appreciated her work. Barbara Walters.
Yes, the greats.
Yes,
the greats. Okay, so that was your childhood dream.
And so I studied in college English and journalism. I went to Fordham University. And when I graduated, I started off as a news reporter, and I loved the news. I loved writing stories. I loved being a storyteller. But what I found was that I was covering a lot of nonprofit news, and I was really inspired by what a lot of these nonprofit organizations were doing. They were raising awareness and raising funds for causes that were changing people's lives, and I wanted to be their narrator and give them a platform.
Yeah, so that was stuff that was rewarding in your mind, and you wanted to amplify that message.
Exactly.
I love that.
Yes. So I ended up switching into the PR side of things. Actually, someone that I interviewed created a position for me to be the PR coordinator. And from there, I did PR, but I also was planning events. And that's how I got into the fundraising side of the nonprofit sector.
Okay. Also rewarding. Did you
Very
always
rewarding.
go for jobs that you felt like were give backs?
Yes.
I like that.
Yes. I wanted to wake up every day and feel like I wasn't just going to get my paycheck. I was going to change someone's life. And that first job that I worked at Cabrini Elder Care, I got the opportunity to meet with so many of the residents of the nursing home where I worked. And there was one in particular that I really connected with. And it just really gave me some real meaning to what I was doing every day.
Yeah, interviewing, writing, all of that stuff is
all
in
of that
your
stuff.
toolbox, if you will. But you did this for many years.
Yes.
Something obviously wasn't fully working for you, or you felt you wanted to change. And I know that it was during the pandemic, which happens to a lot of my guests, that you thought this is the right time to do something else.
Correct.
Write a book.
Right.
Okay, let's talk about it.
Okay. So the timing was really interesting. The book is about my dog, Ellie. The book is Ellie Morelli and the Pack Unleash Their Superpowers. Ellie inspired the book by her bravery. She actually saved a vet tech from getting bit when she was at doggy daycare. And the interesting part of the story was that Ellie wasn't even in the area of the room where the vet tech was. She was across the room. And when we picked her up that day after school, we call doggy daycare school, the vet tech told us that she had no idea how Ellie knew what was happening at the time because she was on the other side of the room. And my husband and I had this joke about Ellie having these enormous ears. And we said, well, you know, she's got those big ears. She's a busybody. She just ran across the room and you know, stood over this dog and saved the vet tech. And it was after that day that I really started thinking about how she has this difference about her that we would make fun of, but it was really like a superpower. And it didn't come out until she was put in a situation to showcase it, if you will.
Yeah.
So that really got me thinking. And then the pandemic happened and we were all locked up. Everybody's making sourdough. And I said, well, now's my time to write a book. So that's how it happened.
And you didn't take a course online or anything?
No,
it
just came
started.
out.
And this is 2020.
Yes.
And you didn't publish until 25.
Correct.
So it took a few years.
Yes.
Which is honestly reality.
Yes.
Let's talk. We're going to talk about the struggles to get published because I know that's one of your big obstacles.
Yes.
But before we get off Ellie Morelli, what were you really trying to say to the world with this book or to achieve with young readers that you felt hadn't already been done?
Well, I'll be honest, I think the theme of my book isn't anything new, but the way that I present it is unique and fun. And really the takeaway is to embrace ourselves for who we are, embrace our differences. When we do that, when you embrace the parts of yourself that are different, there's a magic that happens. And when we do that with each other, there's a magic that happens. There are connections that come from that. So that's really the heart of the book is about celebrating who you are, who your friends are, and at times even who the bullies might be or the people in your life that you're not too fond of.
Yeah. So those are great messages. I also want to mention that as you published this last December, I believe, in 2025, then in January, you got a job at Montefiore Nyack Hospital becoming communications manager.
Yes.
So you're really a dual storyteller. So your bucket list career is twofold.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Well, one of the things that, you and I have talked about is that fundraising and storytelling is the foundation of fundraising. And Montefiore Nyack is a hospital. It's nonprofit, obviously. When it comes to storytelling as an author, there's a message, there's a creativity that goes into all of that. And when I'm storytelling at Montefiore, I'm showcasing the amazing doctors and the amazing patients that we are so proud to serve.
The real people.
The real people, yes.
But it's a narrative still.
Yes, it's a narrative.
And that's how you connect with others. That's how you get messages across.
Yes, exactly.
Not just with facts or accomplishments of doctors or success stories, but the journey, I think.
Correct.
Just like what we're doing here.
Yes, exactly. And the realness, right? The authenticity, sharing the stories of our doctors and the work that we're doing and the patients. But also in my book, all the dogs in the book are based on real dogs. So I love that authenticity of using real voices and real people or real dogs. I love that when it comes to storytelling, because then it's not just I made up this story, but people can make real connections and it's meaningful.
Yeah. So how tough is it to get published with a book like this?
You
believe in it, you poured your soul into it, but I think obviously not everybody is going to bite right off the bat. So how did you navigate that? Did you have any help from networking, some friends who were able to help you? How did you get past that roadblock?
So it was hard. I was pitching to different agents. I was trying to pitch to publishing companies. I got a lot of, this is great, or this is really cute, but I don't have time to represent a new author, or this is great, but I just like this part of your book. Maybe you can make it a coffee table book. And that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted it to be a book. And then I went to another peer of mine who was a published author with like a big publishing house. And she said, oh, it's really hard and they own you and you're just better off just do it on Amazon. And there's nothing wrong with self-publishing on Amazon. So many successful and great stories are self-published on Amazon, right? But that's not the route that I wanted to take.
Okay.
And so this is going on. So I finished the story in 2020. It was around 2022. I was at work and a colleague of mine, Jillian, awesome.
Shout out Jillian.
Yeah,
what's her last name?
Shout out Jillian. Thank you, Jillian Henthorn.
There you go.
I'll send you the link to this. But Jillian was a colleague of mine, and she wrote a children's book. And we were at a staff meeting, and the head of school got up, and he gave her a shout out and congratulated her. And I went up to her after the meeting, and I congratulated her, and I said, hey, how did you do this? I wrote this book. I've been trying to get it published.
Yeah.
And she said, oh, I'll do an e-intro for you with my publisher, Vinny, at Philoso Publishing.
Okay.
And it was one of those moments where, it reminded me of one of my favorite quotes, empowered women empower women. She could have...
a great quote.
She could have been a gatekeeper. She could have made anything up to not give me that information. And she was really...
That means she's confident.
Exactly.
I'm willing to support you.
Yep.
Crown fixer, if you will.
A crown fixer, yes.
So you're lucky to have someone like that in your life. Okay. And so How long did it take then once you were in contact to get published?
So once I connected with Vinny and I told him about my book and he was like, this sounds awesome, let's do it, I had to find an illustrator. That was a whole thing. And it took me a couple of years to do so, just because I had a certain aesthetic and a certain vibe. And then I ended up going on this website called People Per Hour, amazing website if anybody's looking for an illustrator. You upload your work and then people pitch you. And I had artists from all over the world sending me their own visions of what they thought the pack would look like, Ellie and the pack. I landed with Charlotte Mercer, who's my author. She's British, across the pond. Yeah. She's amazing.
So cool that you can collaborate with someone in London.
Yes. And we FaceTimed and went over the story. And I just really loved how she captured the animals and the characters in the book. It was almost as if she wrote the story with me and was in my head. It was amazing. Yeah. So,
well, I can see your eyes light up when you're talking about it. You're clearly doing something that fuels you. And that takes us to our next part of the podcast, which is what can we learn from you? Takeaways on really crafting something that lights you up, that's becoming a little cliche, that phrase.
I know.
But I will tell you that when I sit, especially when we're in studio, when I sit across from someone who is authentically in love with what she or he is doing, I feel it. And that's you. So from your lens, what are your nuggets of wisdom?
You're going to hear a lot of people tell you no. Be your yes. And what I mean by that is believe in yourself. As corny as that might sound, people are going to tell you no for whatever reason, and that's okay. But you have to believe in yourself and keep going. Do what you feel. You have that fire in your soul. You feel passionate about something. Just keep going. Go for it. Yeah. And there are going to be people that are rooting you on, and they're in your corner, and you'll feel it in your gut. That person is on my team. Keep those people close to you, because they're going to help you get to where you want to be.
And you also talk about paying it forward.
Yes.
Which I love. In my last interview, someone said, I'm a business pusher. This was, an entrepreneur that I interviewed. She said, I feel like I'm pushing people to start businesses.
Yeah.
And I said, no. That's about women supporting women in this case.
Yeah.
And you believe strongly in that. That's what you said to me was one of the nuggets of your wisdom. Is like, help somebody out, share your wisdom, ask them the questions that may prompt them to find their bucket list career.
Right.
There's some real reward in that.
There is. It's really rewarding. And, paying it forward is what Jillian did for me. I wouldn't have been in this situation if she didn't pay it forward and give me that information that I asked her for about the publisher. So that's case in point right there.
So grateful. Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell us where we can find out more about the book and you in general, and send us online. Where are the best spots to find out more about you?
Okay. So if you're on Instagram, which you totally should be.
Yes.
You can follow Ellie at Ellie Morelli and the Pack. That's the handle for our Instagram.
Okay.
And just a little plug, on May 16th, I will be doing my very first reading and book signing at Barnes & Noble Paramus in Paramus, New Jersey.
Yay.
So if you are a parent, and we all know you're always looking for something to do on a Saturday, 11 a.m., May 16th, come see me. I'm going to do all the voices.
Amazing.
It'll be a lot of fun. I'm going to give some swag out. So it'll be
cool.
Great. Yes.
Oh, that sounds great. Everyone should go check it out.
Yes. And you can purchase the book online on Amazon or barnesandnoble.com.
All right, Angelique Morelli, thank you so much for sharing your story. I really loved this. It went way too fast, didn't it? I told you it would.
Yes.
All right, well, that's going to do it for this episode of Bucket List Careers. I'm Krista Laurie. Thanks so much for listening. Be sure to check us out on social media at Bucket List Careers. You can always email me, Krista at bucketlistcareerspodcast.com. That's CHRISTA. Thanks so much for being with us, and be well.